Hi everyone, Stepan here. I'm going to continue covering the games from the Šolta Chess Open played this summer. In round 3 I drew a FIDE master, as you could see in the previous video. Hopefully you did manage to convert that endgame that I didn't. Okay, in round 4 I faced another strong opponent, 2200, had the black pieces, and he's one of those players who plays English Reti, King's Indian attack / Catalan positions, usually with the fianchetto on G2 and on B2, with several different move orders, and it's never easy to prepare against those. When someone plays E4, you know you're going to play the Sicilian or the Caro-Kann or whatever else. When someone plays a million different things with subtle move order differences, it's much harder. Okay, so he started with pawn to C4. I played pawn to C6. Obviously, I would love to get into the Caro-Kann or into the Semislav if he plays D4 or E4, but he plays knight F3 going for the Reti. D5, pawn to G3, knight F6. This has all been played a million times. We can still go into the closed Catalan. We can still go into the King's Indian attack with D3. We can still go into the Reti with B3. A lot of things could happen. Bishop to G2. Now, usually DC4 is the way to play this position, and that's, I would say, the most challenging for white, because going into these sort of pseudo-Catalan, pseudo-open Catalan positions gives black an easier game in compared to normal systems. But I don't want to get into that now. You can also play bishop G4. I played bishop to F5 because I like playing the London system setup against these. I find it very safe with my bishop tucked in on H7 and a solid pawn structure. And yeah, I'm happy to play this. Castles, pawn to E6, B3. Note that knight H4 is never really a threat until D3 is played, because I always have bishop E4. So I don't have to play H6 yet. But I did play it because I'm going to be playing it eventually. He's going to be playing D3. I could continue bishop E7 or knight D7, but H6 is a fine move. Bishop to B2. Bishop E7, D3. Now in this position it would have been necessary to play H6 because I don't have the E4 square for my bishop. Since I already did, I just castled. Okay, knight B to D2. Again, this has been played a million times. This is a very, very normal Reti versus London system. Now in this position he played a strange move. Usually you play A3 here, black plays A5, they go queen C2, you go bishop H7 in anticipation of E4, and then bishop to C3 and B5. And this is the main line, which I learned because of a loss I had in the Belgrade Open. But here he played rook E1, and rook E1 is a bad move. It's not a bad move, but it doesn't threaten what it prepares. Basically you're preparing E4, but once I play bishop H7, you cannot play E4. So rook E1 has to be an inaccuracy. It has been played 50 or so times, but I really don't see the purpose. And my opponent did play E4 here, getting very close to losing position. And this is a pattern I've used since this game to win another game against a strong opponent, or to win a game against a strong opponent. And this pattern you really should know if you play the London system with either side against the Reti sort of setup. And that's knight C5. You're basically putting too much pressure on the D3 pawn. There's not much he can do. If this knight is moved away to B1, then you just win a pawn here. If the pawn is defended by the queen, you can just exchange everything and then take on D3. So yeah, this is not easy. The best move and the best variation, which I know because I was prepared for this mistake, is knight E5. And after D4, you continue D4. And this is the absolute best, which gives white something close to equality. Knight D3, knight D3, E3. Where white is a pawn down, it's not really clear when or how he's going to take that pawn back. Usually knight F3, knight E5 should be the way to go. But again, I have bishop B4, I have D2. It's not easy. My opponent did not find that. He played bishop f6, and after bishop f6, again, the pawn is hanging. He didn't really achieve much, except that the exchange is hanging as well, so he has to close the position down. So e5, bishop e7, d4. And now I've analyzed this game for about 3 hours, and all of my mistakes I understood without the engine, luckily. Because I saw the better alternatives during the game, I just didn't go for them. Okay, so I need to become braver when playing. Obviously here I played knight e4, and here's the idea. Knight e4 threatens bishop a3, and after bishop a3, bishop b2 takes on d2, I win the exchange and win the game. Here he played rook e3, which I guess is okay, prevents knight c3. And I played bishop a3. Now let me show you what happens if he does nothing. If he plays, well, I don't know, let's say h3. Then bishop b2, rook b1, knight c3, game over. Okay, whatever he does, he loses too much material and he can resign. Hanging, has to give up this one. Now this one is still loose, and yeah, after here I just go here and win 2 exchanges. So bishop a3 is an actual threat. He has to do something. He played cd5, I played cd5, and then he took on e4. Now, this is the move where my lack of courage allowed him to slip away from my fingers from the winning position. I can take with the pawn, I can take with the bishop. Obviously, as soon as he took on e4, I had my hand over the pawn and I almost recaptured straight away, like immediately. Because I saw this position before I played knight c5, and I saw that this wasn't an option. I saw that he couldn't take on f6. So here's what happens if I take with the pawn. So d4, he plays knight d2, obviously. I play bishop b2. Now, rook b1 loses straight away, which I failed to appreciate during the game. This is the part I'd missed. So after rook b1, I thought, okay, what do I do now? Well, you just take on d4. And game over. That's it. There's nothing here. If he plays rook e1, for example, I just go e3. fe3, bishop b1. Game over. So, after bishop b2, he would have been forced to play knight e4, giving up the exchange, and after bishop a1, queen a1, what's going on? This is game over. Okay, so I didn't do that. I took with the bishop. Stupid. It's not even risky to take with the pawn. What if you lose the d5 pawn? So what? I mean, I have the 2 bishops. The position has blown open. He can never really take it because his rook will be hanging. I can take the c file. I can get my queen to b6. I can get my f rook to d8. I was really upset about this game. I mean, I honestly don't remember when I was this angry after a game as after this one. This is just someone makes a mistake in the opening, which against stronger players, as you probably know, doesn't happen very often, if it happens at all, and then you miss your opportunity. So okay, I took with the bishop. It's not bad. Black is, according to the engine, black is still winning, but this is not that easy. Okay, so now he has to prevent bishop b2, so he plays queen to d2. Okay, and in this position, I was afraid of b4, which isn't really a threat. I can just ignore it. I can play rook c8, and if he tries to trap my bishop, I can just go rook c2, and that's it. Again, a winning position. But I played a5 to prevent b4, losing some time. He played knight e1, trying to trade off pieces, which is smart, controlling the c2 square. I don't want to trade pieces, so I played bishop h7. He played bishop f1, trying to trade pieces. Now this is becoming unavoidable. Played queen b6, bishop d3, takes, rook takes. If I were him, I would have taken with the knight. But okay, I guess this is okay too. Played bishop b4, played queen b2, queen a6, a tempo on the rook. So I'm threatening to take on e1, threatening to take on d3. So he plays rook e3, rook a to c8, a3, and saving this bishop doesn't really make much sense because the knight is going to be an absolute monster on c5, in which case I would be forced to trade it off anyway. And after f4, my bishop on e7, I don't think is doing much, so I took. Rook a takes. And yeah, now I played b5. b5 is the mistake that gave up my entire advantage. What I wanted to do is I wanted to secure the c6 square. And if he tries a4, I go b4. If he goes b4, I take it and play rook c4. Excuse me. But he found a great move, which I'd completely overlooked. He played queen e2, and ooh, now, now I cannot play b4. So I played rook c6. He played g4, and me not being too brave over the board, I saw things that never could have happened. Like rook g3 and here and blah blah blah. So I just played b4 and we traded queens. And this should be slightly better for black, but it's equal. I'm going to show you the rest of the game. Instead of b5, allowing queen e2, I should go queen c6, which is a move I'd considered, obviously controlling the c file. And if he tries a4, preventing b5, which now would have been a threat, then queen c2, let's say he defends, I take it, rook takes, I check, king g2, and just here. And I win a pawn. If b4, then I go b6, takes, rook b5, I just defend. And this pawn is dropping. Once d4 drops, the position collapses. So, again, same as in the previous game, an even easier conversion, which this b5 is a simple tactical error which I made because I didn't see queen e2. And obviously I don't want to trade queens. Obviously I do want to be controlling the c file. But yeah, I made a mistake. So okay, I did go b5, queen e2, g4, traded queens, took on b4, took on b4. Now, I have one hope in this position, and that's to get my rook to c6. After rook c1, it's really not easy to do that. Why? Because if I, for example, go rook f a8, then he can go rook c7. And then he can go rook f3, and then I'm in trouble. And if I have to trade a pair of rooks, I'm not really getting anywhere. So after rook c1, I played rook a8 to be able to meet rook c7 with rook c8. And what I want to do after rook c8 is I want to play rook c6. So he did play rook c7, I played rook fc8. And if he takes this, then I'm happy. Then I can probably get somewhere. I don't play rook c6 now because the king is in the square, but I can play rook c3, excuse me. I can play rook c2. And this should be, I think, a winning position. But of course he doesn't do that. He played rook d7. If he plays rook b8, again, I can just evict the rook. And if he declines the trade now I do win. This is now just game over. There's nothing he can do to save himself. So after rook d7, I played rook d8, rook c7, rook c8, rook d7, rook d8. And we agreed to a draw. I mean, there's not much I can do here. Trying to force a win from this position would be stupid against a much higher rated opponent. I mean, he's almost 300 points higher rated at this point. I missed my win twice. First, not taking with the pawn on e4, and secondly, playing b5. And when you miss opportunities, you just don't win, and that's it. So I didn't win. Again, I was so angry after this game, which is a good thing, and I studied a lot of complex major piece endgames after that. Yeah, and hopefully when I reach a position like this again, I'm not going to be playing stupid moves like b5. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you're getting something from these games. Let me know what you think. and stay tuned for more chess. Bye bye.